This is Tom T. Moore, and welcome to my telepathic world where you'll hear a different perspective on the universe we live in. In this episode, we're going to cover, among other things, past, present, and future lives. So, I mentioned in the last episode that we typically have 600 to 800 lives on Earth. Now, that's per soul fragment. I used to think that in my soul cluster, it was probably like peas in a pot. Oh, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. And so on. But it's not that way, I'm told. Each soul fragment is given a little different personality and a little different frequency and all than the other soul fragments. So, as an example, my soul interest are religions of the world. So I've been around for the creation of each one of the major religions. As an example, ANTURA, who is this brother on another planet, he's one of my soul cluster members, and he's had 800 lives on Earth so far, but his soul interest is exploration. So as an example, he was Marco Polo's uncle and did the Silk Road before Marco Polo did and wrote about it. So everyone is given something a little different. Now these lives don't necessarily have to be linear. So as an example, I've been told that my next life, right after this one, will be back on the water planet where supposedly I'm some sort of spiritual guide or spiritual master or something like that. Sort of like a waterlogged Dalai Lama, I guess. And but after that, my next life on Earth is supposed to be in the 3400 era. And in that era, I'll be a female and I'll be a space pilot on one of 17 starships that Earth will have at that time. We actually aren't able to reach the stars until about 3250, and then by the 3400 era, there are about 17 starships that can do these portal hops that we can get into one day. So the next life after that will be back in the 2600 era, and I'm supposed to get people ready for the stars. Somehow I'm going to take the information that I gained from my life on board a starship and use it to help people prepare to go to the stars. Then the next life after that will be back in the 3400 era, but I will remain on Earth the whole time and do whatever I do. My wife's next life will be back in ancient Egypt when I arrived with my flock from Atlantis. She was an Egyptian princess, and she helped us resettle in Egypt. And so she's going back to a time not too far after that, and she'll be a male and she'll be a leader of her people. Now I will be her assistant, but it's a past life for me. Gets a little complex, but that's the way lives go. You don't always go in a linear fashion. You may jump back and forth. It all depends on what you need to learn on your soul path and for your soul's learning, because that's their goal, is to raise their vibrational levels. And that's something probably I might need to talk about just for a second. Your souls, I've been told, are on a fast track. They took these Earth lives in order to help fast track them on raising their vibrational levels. And sometime in the future, thousands of years from now, whenever it happens, eventually our soul's goal will be to meld into a creator itself, and we will take over running this universe for this creator and our creator of this universe will go on to a higher level that it has no real knowledge of, but that's what's supposed to happen. And we will be the very first souls in any universe. And keep in mind, there are billions of universes from billions of creators. Some, I've been told, are as small as the head of a pin, and others are much larger than our universe. And in fact, there are actually 3 universes that are adjacent to our universe, only one of which we can see in our night sky. So we will be the very first souls to ever meld together that have come from all these different creators and become a creator ourselves and will run this universe. So that's why we have to go through all these lives where we're veiled from knowing who we are in order so that we can make decisions just like a creator would, with having no knowledge of what what is to come. So we have to build up the way we're able to make decisions in order to someday become a creator. Now, each one of the lives that I mentioned, of those 600 to 800 lives, have parallel lives, 12 parallel lives, okay? So in other words, there are 12 of you running around on different Earths, different frequencies, okay? And I was told the reason our souls did that was to have the biggest bang for the buck, to be able to see the difference between a soul fragment having a soul on one parallel world and having the same life on another parallel world. Okay, so how are these parallel worlds broken up? They are divided into 4s. So as an example, and they're also called timelines, I might mention. And you hear timelines even today. And so the timelines are divided 1 to 4. Then there's a break in the frequency, and it goes from 5 to 8. And then there's a larger break in the frequencies, and 9 to 12. Then they are subdivided into timelines 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and 11 and 12. Okay, so they're subdivided. We're on timeline number 6, so we're in the middle. We're the middle kid. And so we're actually kind of influenced from a little bit from the lower timelines and a little bit from the higher timelines. So, and we influence them too. So there's all these different frequencies. And so the lower timelines, the timelines 1 through 4, have much harder lives, and then the higher timelines 9 through 12 have much easier lives. So as an example, I'll give you a personal example. On timelines number 1 and 2, I've already died. I died from congestive heart failure, which I lived in this timeline as an example. I was able to survive congestive heart failure. And on timelines 3 and 4, I never got out of the tour business. We sold our tour company on this timeline in 1981 and that's when I started my international film and TV distribution business. So, but we never got out of the tour business on timelines 3 and 4, and supposedly I've written a book on my experiences in the tour business, so I've done some writing there. Also on those 2 timelines, my wife and I divorced and we remarried, okay? So, but on all the, on timelines 5, 6, 7, and 8, we've been married for many, many years. Okay, so then on timelines 5, 6, 7, and 8, when I attended TCU, Texas Christian University, I was impelled, pushed forward by my GA, my guardian angel, to have a degree in finance. All right? And so, and at the same time, I also, in order to help pay for my college education, I had to go through ROTC, and I became a second and then a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army. And I was in Korea as part of the peacekeeping force for 1 year instead of having to go to Vietnam. So on timelines, though, 9, 10, and 11, 12, Vietnam never happened. They settled their differences. I got a degree in English, became a writer. I married my college sweetheart who sent me a Dear John letter on timeline 6, and we divorced. We moved to Colorado, where I wrote, and we divorced, and which I could have told my upper timelines would probably happen, but and so I never served in the military. I only became a writer, science fiction, and then I think it turned into metaphysical things and all. So timelines are quite different in the frequencies and how they're easier lives. Now, one of the strange things is that timeline number 12 is non-physical. Now that's kind of weird, I thought. Well, why is it non-physical? Well, it's explained to me that our souls wanted to have one life that was the perfect life, that all the other lives would be compared to. And so that's why they're on timeline number 12, it's a non-physical life. Strange. Okay. So now let's get into things like guides and orbs and things like that. Cameras can pick up orbs, but typically we cannot see orbs around us. I have talked to or received emails from a couple of people that have that ability, but most people cannot see these orbs. Now, the orbs, in most cases, would be your guides that are hanging around to assist you. And if you start looking at these orbs, they're very, very intricate, and they're different. And I've been told someone, and I don't know if it's going to be me or whether it's going to be someone else, is going to start taking these photos of orbs, and they're going to start asking questions in meditation about each orb and what these concentric circles and beautiful patterns and all mean. They mean something. Some orbs will be different colors. So as an example, a red orb will be maybe a soul fragment that is a younger soul, but for some reason is able to assist you in something that you're working on in this particular life. And there's blue colors, and there's even shapes of like hexagons. And I was told they're not human, which is, I haven't gone far enough in that. So that's one of those questions that I need to get back and ask one of these times to find out, well, is it human, but a different kind of human, or what? So there are all sorts of different kinds of orbs. Now, you'll see a photo, hundreds, if not thousands, of orbs that are together. What are these? Because these don't have any concentric circles or anything. They're very simple orbs, although every once in a while you may see a more complex orb that will be around them. Well, I was told that these are staging areas. So in other words, let's say your loving dog or your loving cat transitions. They may stay around for a little while with you, but then they sort of go through kind of a tunnel in a way, and they're guided by human soul fragments that volunteer for this duty for learning purposes. They're guided to a staging area where the whole soul that makes all the dogs, all the cats, I mean, there'll be a separate soul for the dogs, a separate soul for the cats, separate soul for birds, reptiles, and so on. These whole souls are concentrating all of their lives, where our souls may have 1,000,000 lives across the universe. These souls are having millions of lives, but they're very simple lives, as our dogs or our cats or birds or what have you. And so they're sent to these staging areas where the whole soul chooses their new birth mothers for them. And the birth mother can be now, or it can be in the past, or it can be sometime in the future. So it all depends on where that soul fragment of that dog or that cat or whatever needs to be. So as an example, if you request a most benevolent outcome for the return of that loving dog or that loving cat back to your family, Theo says that it's almost a done deal that soul fragment will return to you. Well, maybe that soul fragment has to be born a year ago or 2 years ago, or maybe it needs to be born 2 years in the future. Whatever it is, it will be born at a time that will bring that soul fragment back to your family. So keep in mind that you can do that by simply requesting a most benevolent outcome. So group souls, these are, the creator of the universe asked them to volunteer their services, and they had. And so there's actually Gaia, the soul of the earth, is a soul for this planet, okay? But she actually has 4 million other souls that are assisting her in running the planet in one way or another. I mean, it can be clouds, rain, it could be the animals and birds, it can be all these things. Mountain ranges have soul fragments and so on. So, and lakes and streams and oceans and all. So there's 4 million other souls that assist her in running the planet. Each planet in the universe, each moon, each sun, they all are ensouled. And it just depends on the soul's interest as to why it wishes to be the soul of a planet or the soul of a sun. So as an example, I've had communication with the soul that inhabits our sun. And I asked him, I said, what name would you like me to call you? And he said, Tom, he said, just call me son, because he said, to call me anything else, a particular religion, one religion or another would say, see, that's the name we use, and so obviously our religion is the right one. And so he says, just call me son. Well, now when I speak to the sun, it's like speaking with my brother-in-law, the quantum physicist or something. He has to dumb down all of his answers for me because I have a business financial background. I don't have a physics background or anything. So when he explains things or answers questions, he dumbs down the answers. He says he'll be happy to speak to anyone that in meditation wants to speak to him and ask questions of him. And obviously I would point the person that would meditate that has the correct background that could ask these great questions of the sun. You'll receive some great answers that would be way beyond me. When I talked to our moon, the soul of our moon, she said, just call me lunar, and that's okay. So Gaia, before she was the soul of this planet, was actually ensouled like a big asteroid or something that went through thousands of galaxies or whatever trips, learning all about things, and she gained great knowledge from being ensouled in this asteroid and passing by all these other planets and stars and all. As you can see, our universe is much more complex than you can imagine. And then you get into these billions of other universes. I've been told that the creator of this universe, Theo, said he would be ranked in the top 5 of all the billions of other creators because of his work with us, working with this negativity. Because this is the primary purpose, that we're on Earth, that we've been veiled from knowing that we're part of a soul, and knowing all these things that most people on other planets can rarely access, because we're supposed to come up with ways to do things that have never been thought of before. And that's amazing that here are these other societies that have been around for billions of years, and they're stuck at a level, and we're going to go out because we've been able to handle negativity, and no one in any universe has been able to handle negativity. That's how special we are on Earth, that we've been able to handle negativity, and we will be able to take this out to the stars and introduce small levels of negativity to the other societies on other planets. And it will be very tiny bits. I mean, we've handled over 50% negativity on our planet, but we're only going to take 0.02 to 0.2% negativity and present it to other people. This will be like in the form of games. Even like a game like chess has to have a winner and loser, so that involves negativity. And so we're going to introduce games and things like that that will introduce small bits of negativity and help them to start raising their vibrational levels again, because they got stuck on around 5.3, 5.4, and now we're at 5.0 on the 5th focus. So with that, I might mention again, go to my website, check out all these different newsletters. Start reading, start at the top if you wish, at the newest ones, and work your way back so you can kind of catch up. Sign up for the newsletter, sign up, go to Facebook and search for Tom T. Moore Author and like my page. And I'm on Twitter. Explore all these different concepts and learn more and get a different perspective on our world, that it's so much more beautiful and so much more complex, and you become much more spiritual when you start learning more about our universe. So please join me again in my telepathic world. Thank you.